Hey, this is Joe Luciano with Joe's Homes, Realtor with Bentley's Real Estate. In today's video, I'm going to go over the current real estate market in Northshore, Massachusetts, and a few things you should know before moving. I'm going to break this video down into parts, so I'm going to leave time codes in the description below so you can skip ahead to whichever part you're interested in. The structure of this video will be broken down into what makes the North Shore, the past 12 months in real estate in the North Shore compared to the previous 12, a few key things to note about living on the North Shore, and finally I'll leave you with my thoughts on what the real estate market in North Shore, Massachusetts is going to look like this year. So jumping right into what makes up North Shore. The North Shore is pretty loosely defined, so in this video I'm going to be referring to the North Shore as solely Essex County compared to just the towns along the coast. If you're not familiar with Essex County, I'm just going to run you through a quick tour. Working your way up the coast north of Boston, you have communities like Saugus and Lynn, and these communities are much more populated than the rest of the North Shore, primarily due to their proximity to Boston and their general convenience. Further north, you have towns like Salem, Beverly, Peabody, and Danvers, which to me are kind of classically North Shore. This is the heart, the center, and the hub of the North Shore, in my opinion. Head down 128 and you'll end up in Gloucester and then Rockport. Gloucester famed for its rich fishing history and picturesque harbor. Rockport, of course, as the name might suggest, is famed for its rocky coastline and its really charming downtown. Continue north from there through Essex and you'll end up in Ipswich. Ipswich is really famed for its rich history and its lively downtown. Downtown Ipswich is full of shops and restaurants. It's a really quaint and close setting. Everyone in Ipswich seems to know each other, and it's really a highly desirable place to live. Past that, you have what is considered Greater Newburyport. Greater Newburyport consists of 6 towns, starting with Newburyport, Newbury, West Newbury, Salisbury, Amesbury, and Rowley. Each town has its own traits and characteristics, but I would say Newburyport is really the hub of the 6. From Greater Newburyport, following the Merrimack River inland, you'll eventually end up in Haverhill. Haverhill is much more of a city atmosphere. Just kind of continuing down through the Merrimack River, then you'll eventually end up in 2 more cities, that being Methuen and Lawrence. These are much more populated and they generally have a lower cost of entry. Between the 3 towns, Haverhill, Methuen, and Lawrence, I would say these are probably your best bets for getting into Essex County relatively cheaper. Then from there, you head south back towards Boston and you'll end up in the Andovers. Of course, that is Andover and North Andover. Of course, I didn't hit every town, but that to me is an overview if you were to snake your way up from Boston of what really I consider the North Shore. This video is going to be on just the North Shore as a whole, but be sure to subscribe to the channel as I do plan to break down each one of these towns independently in a further video. Now that we've gone through what really is the North Shore and the towns that make it up, let's talk about the past 12 months in real estate compared to the previous 12, starting with the number of sales. In the past 12 months last year, there was a total of 5,079 single-family sales in Essex County. That's down 900 from a year prior, roughly a decrease of 15%. That covers single families, but as for condos, there was a grand total of 2,347 condo sales in Essex County. That's down from 2,914 the year before, which marks nearly a 20% decrease. In total, there were 7,246 sales in Essex County last year. That's down 1,467, so nearly 1,500 sales from the year before, which marks roughly a 16.5% decrease. As for the town or city with the most sales, Lynn had the highest number of single-family sales at 451. That was followed by Methuen at 386, which was then followed by Haverhill at 375 single-family homes. All of which make pretty decent sense considering their overall size compared to the other communities that make up the North Shore. As for condos, Salem had the highest number of condo sales at 336. This was followed by Haverhill at 268 and then Lynn at 178, a sharp taper off. And this again makes pretty decent sense considering all of these towns and cities have a higher population, a higher amount of housing, and then also Salem had a lot of their recent developments with condos with the new Bricks development right in downtown. So that covers the number of sales, but what you really clicked on the video for and what I'm sure you're waiting for is the average price compared to the year prior, and it might surprise you. Despite the media headlines and the general fear surrounding the overall real estate market, the average sales price in Essex County increased last year compared to the year prior. For single-family homes, the average sales price was $767,975. That's up from 714,336, a roughly 7.5% jump. As for condos, the average sales price was $482,129, up from $433,529, over an 11% increase. This means that both single families and condos' average sales price increased by roughly $50,000 last year compared to the year before. The averages for price per square foot tell a similar story. For single families, it was $367.50, condos $357.39. Both of these are around a 10% increase from the year before. Now, if you would like the full stats and raw data, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll leave it in the description below, and I will happily send you straight from MLS the data, or I also have an Excel spreadsheet that has each town from Essex County and all of the data you could want. Now that we've got the numbers out of the way, let's get into what it's actually like living on the North Shore. The North Shore is a really desirable place to live, hence the prices are quite high here. Some highlights of the North Shore are its close proximity to Boston, for the most part being within a 40-minute drive almost anywhere in the North Shore. You have access to major highways like 95, 495, 93, and 128, making basically transportation throughout the North Shore a breeze. Despite being so close to Boston, you also have a really wide variety of different atmospheres, varying from town to town. Anything from a small rural setting similar to Boxford or Rowley, or if you're looking for a more lively downtown setting like Newburyport or Salem. Plus, stating the obvious part about the North Shore is the shoreline. You're directly on the ocean and you have a wide variety of beaches to choose from. If you're in the area, here's a list of a few of my favorites: Wingersheek in Gloucester, Plum Island in Newbury, and Crane Beach in Ipswich. Definitely all worth checking out. Aside from the variety in atmospheres and beaches, there's also a wide variety in housing types and styles. Given the North Shore's rich history, it's no surprise that there's a lot of historic homes with lots of charm. In a lot of these homes, you'll see old fireplaces, wide pine floors. You'll see a lot of really nice touches that you don't see in modern new construction builds. Of course, old homes have their issues, but some people just love them. Some of the different home styles you'll see a lot of colonials, gambrels, ranches, Tudor. If you're ever in downtown Newburyport along High Street, you'll see a lot of these Federalist mansions. Driving down High Street in Newburyport is a really great way to spend an afternoon, admiring all of the Federalist mansions set back from the street. Old and new, there's a wide variety of homes in the North Shore. If you're looking for something with a little bit more charm and a bit of a story, I can almost guarantee that you'll find it in the North Shore. In Essex County, there's really something for everyone. Anything from a small condo in a city atmosphere to multiple acres on an equestrian property. Now, of course, the North Shore has its natural beauty and rich history, but let's get into my predictions for where the market is going to be heading in 2023. Last year was certainly interesting with the volatility in interest rates. As the year went on, it seemed that consumers became more and more selective in the homes that they were putting offers on. This, of course, led to homes spending more time on the market than they were earlier in the year. We still really haven't seen any steady inventory for the market to be favorable for buyers yet. And of course, I don't have a crystal ball to predict exactly what's going to happen in the market or what people are going to do and how they're going to react, but here's exactly what I'm thinking. I think we're going to see a larger amount of supply than previously. I think a lot more people are going to be listing their home now that we're kind of through the pandemic. Lots of people coming up on retirement age are getting ready to downsize, and I'm assuming that they're going to want to capitalize on the equity they have in their home, which for many people is higher than it's ever been. So we should see that wave of inventory come in. So we're going to see a larger increase in supply. I think prices are going to be fairly stable with perhaps a slight decrease in values. Demand in the North Shore has been extremely strong, and I do see that continuing, as most people just haven't been able to buy the home that they're looking for in the past few years. So I have a really hard time imagining that a lot of people are just going to totally tap out, as housing really is a basic need. Now, there are multiple factors at play, and to me it really comes down to a few different if-then statements. The first one being, if mortgage interest rates continue to increase, home prices will be forced to decline. And the second one being, if the supply dramatically increased, I could see that also decreasing the overall valuations across the board. But I think it would better yet meet the demand that's already there. Now, I don't really have the foresight to predict whether or not either of those things are going to happen, but it's going to be a wait and see type event. With the writing on the wall and the S&P 500 decreasing nearly 20% last year, the general direction of the economy and consumer sentiment, I would not be surprised to see either one of those things happen. Now, I think Massachusetts and the North Shore specifically are somewhat protected compared to the rest of the country, I think it's really important to keep in mind that real estate is local. Whatever happens in Texas, Florida, or Arizona will most likely be different than what happens here in Massachusetts. I could see perhaps each market having a decrease, but the severity of those decreases will be different across markets due to their underlying factors. Regardless of market conditions or media headlines, it's really important to remember that the real estate market will always have people buying and selling their home regardless. If you've enjoyed the video at all, a like would be greatly appreciated. Be sure to subscribe to the channel as I plan to go much deeper into each of the towns and attractions that make up the North Shore. I'll be posting videos every Friday, so be sure to stay tuned, hit the bell, and you'll be notified every time I upload. I'd love to hear your thoughts on where you think the North Shore real estate market is heading. Drop them in the comments below. Also, drop a comment down below on which market in the North Shore you'd like to see me break down next. Follow me on Instagram at joes.homes. All of my links and contact info can be found in the description. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home in North Shore, Massachusetts, give me a shout. I'm your guy. But until then, thanks for watching.